Yeah, Johnny and Jethro, they're always trash talking the PDK auto tragic. Gotta have 3 pedals, or it's not a real car. Now we're at a racetrack. I'm gonna show them that perfect PDK is quicker. Oh, for goodness sakes. Yeah. 2-day road tripping garbage. Come on, you guys. Really? Good grief. Oh, I like it already. 9,000 RPM in a Porsche GT3 is something to put a smile on my face. Oh, mechanical symphony. Wow, Wagner's got nothing on this. The engine so far just wonderful, more powerful than ever, smooth and sonorous. I'm gonna be dreaming about that tonight, I tell you. I've come into this test with high expectations, but I mean, it's a Porsche GT3, for God's sake. Feels like it's got more power, that firm brake pedal, that quick and accurate steering. Wow, how can I not love this car?
Hey, buddy!
I'm hearing some crazy stuff on the phone.
Well, we're right behind you. How are you enjoying that Porsche?
I don't know, my mirrors are full of green hell. Y'all are gonna have to warm those tires up, keep up with the GT3.
These cars couldn't be much more different. We got turbo, front engine, V8, and then we've got a normally aspirated rear engine, flat 6. What are your impressions? What do you think is gonna be the quicker car around here and why?
I'm thinking it's gonna be the AMG GTR because it has so much power, and Willow Springs is a big, big circuit. And I don't care how good you handle, horsepower rules, torque wins races.
But I tell you what, that Porsche engine has got some torque as well as some power. I know it revs, but it's a different animal to the last GT3, right?
The Porsche engine is fabulous, it's better than ever, smooth, beautiful music coming out of that engine, and the revs are just insane. How could anything rev that high?
We all thought the AMG GTR would eat the little Porsche at Big Willow, just chew it up and spit it out. But guess what? We were wrong again. The PDK-equipped GT3 ran a 124.66, putting clear air between itself and the AMG's 125.37. Just like we found on the road, Randy reported that the AMG felt way too loose and he couldn't put all that torque on the ground. AMG's Green Beast is a wild ride, but to its own detriment. The thing is, all 3 of us kept describing the GT3 as near perfect. And what about the manual? Well, here's the crazy part. The Row Your Own beat the AMG too. It took Randy longer to get into the groove, but once he, quote, relearned to drive stick, the lap times tumbled. Mr. Popes ripped off a 124.86, just 0.2 of a second slower than the PDK, proving that unless you get paid to race, there's absolutely no reason to go with the auto. And therefore, the winner of the 100th episode of Head to Head is the Porsche GT3 manual. That frothing at the mouth GTR remains one of our favorite cars. Bad news for AMG is Porsche's amazing GT3 is one of the best cars ever built.
Why the shark works then? Let's be honest, this car is basically just a 997 GT3 with a bigger motor, and that is exactly the point. It takes one of the greatest driver's cars ever and gives it more power and, crucially, more torque. I drove another Sharkworks 4.1 up here just a few years ago and I adored it. And it wasn't because it was faster in a straight line, but it was that torque. That torque gives you access to this amazing chassis. And that means you can dance one of the greatest 911s ever on the edge more often. It's just such an amazing feeling. And that's why it's here, because the engine is wonderful, but it makes the chassis even better. And because the base car is so good, the whole car just tingles. with this intensity. Don't think water-cooled means sanitized, because it can mean purified too. And that's what this car is. I can't wait for Johnny to drive it. These days, everyone wants a part of the 911. It just lends itself so well to personalization, and it has its roots in every sort of motorsport. So whether you dream of Daytona or Le Mans, the Monty or the Safari, the 911 is there. And when you've got the means to build something unique and personal, where better place to start than the tiny car that never seems to change, but somehow has a million personalities. This particular Mexico Blue 911 is Workshop 5001's second full custom build, simply called Number 2. And this owner wanted to create a racer for the road. It's based on a 74 2.7 litre Carrera, but has undergone a radical transformation. What really marks this car out is the attention to detail. It is beautiful, and every component from the Öhlins dampers to the custom cage is executed with incredible precision. It's a money no object 911 hot rod, and it's a great place to start this 911 fest. The ultimate reminder of the magic that the more modern interpretations of a 911 hot rod have to recapture.
It's rare that I've driven a car that feels like one piece. It's so stiff. And yeah, it's got a cage in it, and it's stupid to be in a cage car without a helmet. But that said, the only thing moving in this car besides us is the suspension and the steering wheel. And you get this wonderful kickback from the steering, and it just feels like every time I've ever driven an actual race car. But this is a street car.
It's beautiful. And the weird thing is, it does feel like a race car. It's raw, but it works on the road. The ride isn't too stiff. It's got this amazing engine that just revs, but it's got torque. And it just feels like every little nut and bolt is so perfectly developed. To me, this is really the ultimate air-cooled hot rod. They do such a good job on these cars.
I'm shocked. I had no expectations whatsoever. I was just like, another 911 tuner, but this is the daddy, I think you called it.
Whatever you love about driving, whatever your experience is, this is about as good as it gets. An old 911 developed to this level on these roads.
But that's what's crazy, right? I mean, this thing is 1974. It's older than me, it's an antique. It's beyond middle age. It shows that, sure, Porsche never had a car leave the factory like this, but the race cars of that time period, they were probably not much different than this. And it's about 2,200 pounds. That's what the old 911Rs weighed that everyone goes gaga for. But they never had this much power, the thing is incredible. That said, $1 million.
It's $1 million.
It better be pretty good for $1 million, right?
Yeah, it feels $1 million, but you're right. It's almost depressing that these early cars, if you want them built to this standard, have become so far out of reach. It's just insane.
Now, in their defense, does make a boatload of power. So this is the GTS, 354 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque, and then like all the other GTSs, it's 10 millimeters lower. All the common sporty options, they're included for a lower price. So 80 grand base, about 90 grand as it sits.
I'm gonna call it a bargain because I think chassis-wise, the way they have honed and polished and tweaked this car over the years to get it to where it is now is stunning. It's a stunning achievement. The thing is just so beautifully set up. It's so elegant in the way it's engineered, the way it goes down the road. It's incredibly impressive, but also super involving. And it just flows like nothing else. It's fantastic in that regard.
What's so wonderful about this car, for a modern car, it's still small, right? And so I'm in a single lane, yet not only is the car narrow, but it's so placeable that suddenly the lane is like twice as wide as it would be. So I can actually within the lane, take a racing line. Everything becomes more fun and more sporty. And the car is tied down, yet thrilling.
That's the thing with Porsches. People, because they're so good, because they win all that praise, people think they're lacking in character, lacking in fun, but good doesn't mean boring. Good means great.
Yeah.
You can enjoy everything the car has to offer all the time. which I just love about this car. The damping's great, the brakes are great, the gearbox is great. Everything but that engine just ticks the boxes. It's so good. TT looked pretty good, good traction, bit of understeer, but it should have this covered. Having said that, Porsches have this way of defying the odds. I'm not going to write this Cayman GTS off just yet. This thing should be great through the slalom, might struggle for traction. Let's see. Come on. Oh yeah, traction issues. Okay, slow.
Tidy. Oh, very tidy. Very tidy. Jethro hates slalom as much as I do.
Having to use first for these tight corners.
Autocross is about restraint, which is why I think we both hate it.
I love to slide around here, I'm just getting so much understeer. Oh man, this feels painfully slow. Okay, but where's your balance? I just got understeer.
All right, Jethro, you jokingly mentioned that, Porsches can't even lose a comparison test.
It's never happened.
It's been a while. But, what makes them, especially the Porsche GT cars, what makes them so good?
Well, just Porsches generally, they've just got an attention to detail that no one else has. It sounds like a cliche, but they've got this German version of passion. What would you call that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Bondage. No, they have this. They have this amazing passion to make the cars better, and they don't compromise.
Yeah, it's funny because I think a lot of manufacturers, they're like, right, we have to make this car better than the last one. Here's a zillion more horsepower.
Yeah.
With Porsche, it's always just a little bit of incremental change, of a little bit more power. But then they focus on, we got to make the suspension better, and the steering better, and the braking better, and every little thing, and it all adds up.
I loved the last car in a lot of ways, but it was on a knife edge. It was spiky, and we've seen with the GT2 RS that they can give one of these extreme cars this sort of creamy, easy to drive balance.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done with this car. It's the same.
Watch that. Get ice.
See, even through a patch of deep ice lurking in the shadows, the GT3 RS doesn't bite. Just a couple of minutes in this thing are a reminder of exactly what McLaren and everyone else is up against. It marries immediacy with honey-coated fluidity, precision with outrageous balance even when you're deliberately overdriving, and the engine and PDK box are unbelievable. Temperature stayed down, but the wind and no rain has dried up the track. So we're going to do quick and dirty, couple of laps in each car. There's a big rain cloud coming in, but we're hoping we can get both cars done with a dry lap time.
I just think there's enough standing water that he's going to lose a second a lap. So if 125, 126.
No way.
Why not?
Quicker.
Quicker?
122.2.
You're out of your mind. 125. 125. But let the record show that I was much, much, much closer to the truth than Jethro here. Accuracy, knowledge, random guessing.
You're just the world's eternal pessimist.
You're the
You
world's
really
eternal
are.
optimist.
You really are.
You said 122.2 for
I just keep saying 122.2.
Are you going to say 122 for this?
122.2.
All right. I'm going to say 122.5.
Nice spread there.
Yeah.
So it looks like that's all she wrote. And Porsche, amazingly, has gone from looking like they're, for the first time ever, we were going to say Porsche got hammered in any discipline whatsoever.
Yeah.
And yeah, they bloody won again.
Crazy. Who would have thought?
How do they do it? We know for sure that the GT3 RS is nearly 150 pounds heavier than the McLaren, 100 horsepower down on power, and yet it blitzes the 600 LT's time. Just like on the road, Randy found a bit too much understeer in the 600 LT and absolute confidence in the Porsche.
It's funny. Going in, we had absolute confidence that the 600 LT would win this head-to-head. It's just so excellent, so exceptional, and it shoots flames. And yeah, we were excited for the chance to announce that yes, sometimes other folks make better cars than Porsche. But now, after all this, we're not so sure they do. The GT3 RS is simply a miracle. I'm out of superlatives. And therefore, the winner of this head-to-head is the Porsche GT3 RS.